Hey guys, so I know I haven't made a video in a little while. I'm really sorry. Work's had me pretty swamped, but I have a couple free hours right now. So what I actually think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna film like probably like 2 or 3 videos and release them over the week a little bit. Just so that I can actually get them because I really want to keep making these. It's been bugging me. It's been like geez, like at least 2 weeks since the last time I made a video, and that's way too long. And I want to have these coming out. I want to keep doing this. I really do enjoy it. And I hope you guys haven't all left me during this time. I'm really sorry. But yeah, I'm back. I'm excited to talk about some stuff. So I have not seen Wonder Woman yet. And I really want to, and I haven't gotten a chance to. I almost got to see it. I'm filming this on Friday the 9th. Yeah, it's the 9th today. I'm filming this right now on Friday the 9th, and this one's gonna be released today, so I don't know why I'm telling you the date. But I almost got to see it this last Monday, and then stuff fell through, and I didn't. I was so disappointed. But hopefully real soon I'll get a chance to see it. I'm gonna try to at some point like this weekend or maybe this next week after work sometime or something. I don't know. But what I wanted to take this video to do is to talk about the DCEU so far. And I thought about waiting until after Wonder Woman and doing like a ranking video. And this is sort of gonna be a ranking video, but not really because there's only 3 movies I'm talking about. But I decided not to because I don't like these movies. I have not liked these movies so far. There is the one that I have on top, I think is okay, and I like a lot of things about it. That's it. These movies have been bad. They're really examples of Warner Brothers not really knowing what they're trying to do with these characters. And I'm really hoping that I can just get all my thoughts and all my issues out in this video, and then I can go see Wonder Woman, and it'll be as great as everybody says it is, and then I'll come back and I'll do a whole separate video on Wonder Woman, praising it and talking about how much I love it, and we can be happy that the DCU's on a better track. Hopefully, we'll see how Justice League goes. Um, but anyway, so the 3 DCEU movies, my least favorite is absolutely Batman v Superman. Um, this was a movie that really disappointed me because I actually got kind of excited during the trailers, even though the trailers weren't great. I was like, there were things in them that I was like, oh, that could be really. Oh, I'm excited. I want to go see this movie. I had been writing it off beforehand. I was like, really, we're jumping right to Batman v Superman after Man of Steel. We're just gonna do that. But I got excited. And then I saw it in the theater, and I was like, am I watching the right movie? Uh, oh God, there's so much wrong with this movie. It's such a mess of things just compiled together, and people try to defend it so hard because they want. I, I can't say that I don't understand people defending it because I get it. Like it's Batman v Superman. It is Batman and Superman on screen, on the big screen, for the first time ever, and they fight each other. Why everybody wants that to be amazing. But it wasn't. And it's so disappointing that it wasn't, but it wasn't. The biggest issue, I was watching a video about this actually, and it's so true, is that there's no ideological conflict here, really. And the whole thing is like, I mean, like in the comic, what is it, The Dark Knight Returns, that is based off of, the reason they fight is because of their ideological differences. Uh, Superman obviously is a conformist, and he fights for truth, justice, and the American way, and he believes that uh, he believes in trusting the government, trusting people, working together. That's how you bring down the forces of evil and all of that. Whereas obviously Batman has grown up very differently, and he answers to no one, doesn't trust people. He's always looking for the next problem. Um, He's seen, as he says in Batman v Superman, even because they nailed Batman's character just fine. Um, but as he says in Batman v Superman, even that like how many people have they seen that were good that turned bad? Like how many people stayed good? And like he's seen so many great men turn bad, and so he doesn't want to trust anybody, and they end up clashing over this ideal. That's not here because of the way Superman was set up in Man of Steel. And that's why actually one of the big things I think really needed to happen is Man of Steel needed a sequel before this to develop Superman's character into being the foil for Batman because he's not in this movie. He actually is very similar to Batman in this movie because instead of being the Superman that we all know, he is he's having this internal conflict over like what it means to be Superman and that he's like practically a god, and is that okay, and should he really be saving people, should he just look out for himself? Even when he does save people, people find a way to blame him for things, and there's all this stuff going on, and so he ends up actually being very dreary and unsure of who he wants to be, and like at times almost seeming to resolve to answer to no one the same way Batman does. And then they fight because Lex Luthor kidnaps Superman's mom and then they can't communicate for some reason. Like he can't just there's so much of the fight happens because Superman is just like, you need to listen to me, instead of just like, hey, they have my mom, stop, they have my mom, I'm not here to fight you, we need to go get my mom, please, I need help. Like, it doesn't do that, and that makes no sense. I'm sorry, it doesn't. And you can't say, oh, well, the plot needed them to do that. Like, that could be forgiven in a better written movie with more interesting characters, but not here. Um, Obviously, Lex Luthor is terrible. He's the Joker. That's who he's playing. I actually don't think I would have hated Jesse Eisenberg as the Joker, to be totally honest. He'd probably be better than Jared Leto. Yeah, we'll get to Suicide Squad in a minute. So there's all that. Also, I think I should address the Martha thing. Here's the thing. Before everybody freaks out, I get it. Everybody thinks that I don't get it. That no, you don't understand. They both have the name Martha, and that humanized Superman because Batman understood. Oh, he has a mom, and thought about what it would mean to him if he could save his mom still, and he empathized with him, and that's why they stopped fighting. I understand. That's not how you do that. The fact that because they focus so much on their moms, and it's like the writers just like, oh look, they actually have the same. Oh, what's true? Like they focus so much on their mom. Sorry, not on their moms, on their mom's name. And that should not have been where the emphasis is, because that's what diverted so many people into, really, they have the same. What should have happened is he should have just said like, they have my mom, and then instead of playing Batman's parents' death again at the beginning for the millionth time, we should have then at that moment seen like Batman like what, and then flashback, and then you see his parents die for the first time in this movie, and that would have been much more effective. And then he would have, oh, he has a mom too. Well, but then we're forced to focus on their mom's name because that's all they're really talking about here, and they even flash to like, instead of like his parents dying again, they just flash to like his mom's grave saying, which says Martha on it, and it's like okay, but so it has that flaw. Also, obviously the villain, Jesse Eisenberg's plan is so convoluted and hard to follow in this movie. And then the fact that he creates Doomsday, that made no sense that was Doomsday. That I saw a thing where like it really should have just been like a giant like Jesse Eisenberg Zod hybrid thing. That's all it should have been. There's no reason that should have created Doomsday. And then also the fact that you bring Doomsday into here, and that's the thing, is that there was no real conflict between these two characters that had to have a fight, and then they're now teaming up to fight a giant monster thingy. Obviously, they're gonna win. Wonder Woman shows up. Wonder Woman's awesome in this movie. That's one of the many reasons I really want to go see that movie is because she was awesome in this movie, and she almost made me forget that I was watching such a bad movie whenever she was on screen. Because they Wonder Woman. I mean, like I don't know, like you didn't even learn much about her character in this movie, and you still like they made you want to see more of her for sure. The fight was good enough, I thought, actually, with the Doomsday, to be totally honest, as much as nothing leading up to it made sense, and so we weren't invested, and so it wasn't that interesting. If all those things had happened, I think the fight would have been awesome. Because they definitely utilized how each of those characters fight, well, like what their different fighting styles were, and they all teamed up to defeat the thing. And then Superman died, of course, which I knew. I think that shocked some people for some reason. The minute I saw Doomsday in the trailer, I was like, "Oh, we're killing Superman in this movie? Why are we killing Superman in this movie? It's way too soon to kill Superman. You do that in like Justice League 2 or something. Like, what? Why?" But anyway, so that happened, and now we have this convoluted mess of what are we gonna do with Superman going forward? I don't know. Anyway, I just spent 11 minutes talking about just Batman v Superman because that movie is a mess. Anyway, so that's definitely my least favorite. Then we get to Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad is, in a lot of ways, more of a mess, but has slightly more interesting characters and like people I want to see in better movies going forward. Whereas like Superman, I honestly like at this point I don't know, like they need to use him going forward because he's Superman and this is the DCEU. They can't not have Superman in their movies. But I don't care to see this Superman anymore. I almost just wish he wasn't there. I want him to go away now because he's such a mess of a character at this point. But anyway, Suicide Squad was actually a movie that came out of the theater. Let's say like I mildly enjoyed. I was like that was good. I didn't love it, but it was fun. And then I think about it, and there's so many issues with it. It's a fun movie, like to watch, want to like turn your brain off and just like ooh colors and wacky characters doing random things. But a lot of the things in that movie don't make any sense. Yeah, of course, Amanda Waller creates the issue the Suicide Squad needs to fight. Sees that happen at the end of the movie, like clearly, like okay, well, I was trying to build this team, and then I literally almost ended the world, and my team fixed it. So maybe that wasn't the best idea. And then still has that end credit scene with Batman where she's saying, "No, I'm gonna keep doing this." And Batman's like, "No, just shut it down or we will for you," which makes perfect sense because like why the hell is anyway. But so there's that. Then there's the fact that like almost every character in here has no real arc. They tried to pretend Diablo had an arc. But he was just a pacifist who doesn't use his powers anymore. He has really cool powers that he won't use. And then Will Smith poked him at the end of the movie, and so he used his powers, pretty much. And then there's like, I'm trying to think, who are all the characters in this movie? Killer Croc we hardly learn anything about Killer Croc. He's just there. Same thing really with Captain Boomerang, Katana, of course. Who's just like given this really cool, interesting idea for like who she is. Like, oh wow, her sword traps the souls of a victim. I want to know more about that, and then never talked about. Jared Leto's Joker. I think I discovered what it is that I don't like about him. I was trying to figure it out, and I was like, there's something that just doesn't feel right about this. Like, he doesn't feel like the Joker, and I don't. And the thing is, the Joker is such a malleable character, much like Batman, honestly, that you can put in so many different places and sort of tweak his personality in different ways, and it works. And this one just didn't for me, and I couldn't figure out what it was. and I think it was in like like that stupid extended cut thing that they put out where they're really unlike Batman v Superman actually, where there was, as much as I still didn't like the extended cut of that movie, there were little things I was like, okay, that makes it a little bit better. That makes it a little bit better. Suicide Squad had none of that. It was just like, okay, I see why that was cut. Yeah, I see why that was cut. Um, but there was one of the Joker's cut scenes that was in there, where he's talking to somebody and he just interrupts them by just clapping his hands together and just going, "I'm an idea," and it's like, he's way too showy, and like, showy's not the right word because the Joker is supposed to be somewhat showy for sure. It's he feels the need to explain himself so much and like emphasize like, look, I'm crazy, instead of just like having his quiet moments and like acting and seeing the gears go in his head and seeing him be insane. He needs to tell you he's insane, and it just doesn't feel real, and there's this huge disconnect. I really don't like his Joker. um yeah, I don't know. I'd like to see. I feel like Jared Leto could pull something off. I'd like to see him in future movies and maybe tweak his character a bit. Like I, I don't know. But anyway, I didn't like that, and everybody was so pissed off that there was not enough Joker scenes in that movie, and I was like, that there shouldn't. The problem was the advertising, not what they did. They should not have put more Joker scenes in. They just should not have heavily advertised the fact that the Joker is crazy in this movie. It should have been like Darth Vader in Rogue One, really. They should have just been like, yeah, look, Joker's in here, but not because it was. And even still, I honestly just don't think he should have been in this movie at all. The more I'm thinking about it, because like he had no point in this movie. His whole point in this movie was he was trying to go get Harley Quinn from the Suicide Squad. And that's interesting enough, but that could have literally been the one scene at the end where he breaks her out of prison. They didn't need any of those other. They could have used it in one flashback scene where they were explaining Harley's backstory. Also, going for a way of why you have this like terrifying god essentially that is about to like rule humanity in The Enchantress, and you hire Harley Quinn with a baseball bat. I don't get that. And then they do it. They take her down, which you don't buy, and none of it just doesn't work. This movie does not work either. And it's once again a giant mess of people, like different studio doing different things and not knowing what they want where and what they're trying to do with this movie. Okay, so 18 minutes in. Now let's talk about Man of Steel. Man of Steel, I don't hate. Man of Steel, I think, could be decent. It's not a great movie, but it can be okay. And here's the thing. And I know I just talked about how I didn't like what they did with Superman and Batman v Superman, and he's the same character in here very much. But here's the problem. It's okay for me that he starts out. I actually like this different iteration of Superman where he has this internal conflict and he's trying to figure out who he wants to be, and everybody's telling him something different. I like that. And I like what they did in this movie where he ends up actually having to kill Zod at the end, and like it like breaks his moral, and he's like, no, but like screams. Like everybody hates that scene. I love that scene. I really think it's his first outing as a superhero, and that's why he ends up destroying so much stuff, and like it was never in his intention, and he feels torn up about it. I like this. What they needed was a sequel before Batman v Superman, where his character grows from there and ends up like becoming the Superman we know. And resolves to that, and then we see the ideological clash in Batman v Superman. They didn't give us that. They just went, like, left his character like this in here, and then just went straight into Batman v Superman with that. Granted, there are things that don't work in this movie. I totally am with everybody that this stupid line where he's talking to his dad, like, what was I supposed to do? Just let everybody on that bus die? Maybe. Who says that? No one would say that. No one would say that. Even if they were basically saying that in the fact that they were saying you're not supposed to use your powers, they would at least, well, no, you weren't supposed to, but you gotta be careful. You gotta, Clark, like, it's just, there's so much wrong with this universe. And so I'm really excited for Wonder Woman. I really hope they can start to course correct this because I do love these characters. I do, and I know I talk about Marvel most of the time because I love Marvel and I love what they've been doing with their characters.